Alright guys, so this is going to be a video on installing Prometheus. We're going to be setting up a VPS, getting a domain, configuring Cloudflare, and beginning the Prometheus configuration process. There will be a second video for the in-game half of Prometheus, and I'm not going to be going into detail on the PayPal configuration with Prometheus. So let's look at getting started. What do we actually need? So we need obviously Prometheus, which is $15. We're going to need a domain, which I'm going to be using Namecheap in this video, so you can pick up a domain for between $5 to $10. You'll need a VPS and a Cloudflare account, which is free, and you'll also need something like PuTTY or WinSCP, which is free. We're not going to be going into detail on how to install PuTTY or WinSCP. However, that is likely going to be a second video that we'll do at some point. We do have a video previously on our channel on setting up WinSCP with SFTP on our game panel. If you're totally new to this, then that video will probably give you enough information to really work this out. But generally speaking, it's all pretty straightforward. So let's take a little look at what we actually need. So we need Prometheus, which you can get on Gmail Store. Like I said, we need a domain, so I'm going to be using Namecheap for that, which is just simply namecheap.com. For the VPS, I'm going to be using Volta in this video. You'll obviously need a Cloudflare account, which is just cloudflare.com, and then WinSCP you can just get from winscp.net. Just click that big download button. I don't think WinSCP comes with PuTTY, which we'll be using in this video. So just to show you guys, if you need PuTTY, just Google PuTTY, and it will probably be this top result for you guys, which is putty.org. It looks like it's from like 1999 or something like that, but you just want to click this top download button here, and it's pretty straightforward to get started with. So that's what we need to get started. So let's just take a quick look back at the slides here. So we're going to be setting up the VPS first, and then we'll be moving on to the domain. So let me get started. So you'll want to jump on over here to Volta, and you'll want to obviously create an account and log in. And then once you go to deploy a server, this is what you will see. So you'll want to select the server location to be somewhere near you. Obviously, I'm going to select, well, Amsterdam isn't actually closest to me, but we'll just take Amsterdam for the sake of it. And then you'll want to come down here where it says 64-bit OS, 32-bit OS, and application. And you'll want to just hit this application button. And then here, you'll want to select LEMP. This won't be selected by default, and then I'd advise you put it on Ubuntu 16.04. So by default, it will look a bit like this. You just need to hit this application tab and then select LEMP. So once we've got LEMP installed, or selected, sorry, then you'll want to select the $5 a month plan, unless you want to go $10 a month. You're obviously able to run your forums on this as well, if you want to do that. And I'll kind of show you guys roughly how to do that. That isn't exactly the topic of this video, but we'll leave space for the forums, which we'll come back to in another video. So select the $5 plan. You probably won't have these options here or this option here, but this is fine. You don't need any of this. In fact, I'll actually unselect this to make it even more accurate to what you guys will be doing. And then just here for the server name, just pick whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. Now I've gone ahead and already deployed a VPS. It will normally take a few minutes for it to deploy. So this should be ready to go. So assuming you've already installed WinSCP, we just want to pop that open, and this is what it will look like when it's a fresh WinSCP install. So what we want to do is we first want to get this added to our WinSCP. So we're gonna just copy over the username, the password, and the IP address, and then just click save here. And then I'd also advise you save the password just for convenience. Now we're going to need to do two things here. So firstly, if you right click, you'll have this option which is open with PuTTY. Now if you haven't set up PuTTY with WinSCP properly yet, you might get some sort of error when you click this button. You're going to need PuTTY for this, so you know, either wait for our video to come out on that or find some guide on that. It's pretty straightforward. I'm assuming most people are going to know this. So we'll need to pop open PuTTY, and you'll get this little pop-up which is just saying, you know, this is a new server, do you want to trust it? And then when we've got PuTTY open, you'll get this really cool looking terminal. Now we need to just reopen WinSCP again, and we just want to double click it this time, and we'll once again get the same pop-up, but now we're going to be in the files here. So we've got the terminal and we've got your files. So this is looking good. So what we want to do at this point is, if you haven't already, you'll want to go ahead and you'll want to actually download Prometheus. So I've already got it downloaded here. When you extract it, you'll have three main folders. You'll have don't use this if you use Gary's mod, and you'll also have Lua files and web files. Now right now we're interested in web files, so we'll want to go in here and we're going to need this, so I'm going to just put this over here for a second. Now we want to pop open, let me just think about how I want to do this first actually. So what we want to do is we want to start uploading these files. So let me just zoom it in actually a little bit so you guys can see what I'm putting in. So you'll want to go to this directory /usr/share/nginx/html. So I'll put that in the description hopefully. So once you're there, you'll have these two files by default. You can just delete these. We aren't going to need them. Now you'll want to create a folder. So I'm going to name this folder donate. Now you can name this what you want, but when people go to your site, it'll be, say your site name is like crident.com, it'll be /donate or /store. So you can name this really what you want. I'm going to use donate for this example, and then just click OK. Now go on into this folder, select all of this stuff from the Prometheus web folder, and just start the upload process. Now this is going to take a hot minute, so what I'm going to do while this is processing is we're going to get started on the database. So this is going to be probably the most complicated part of this process. So while this is uploading, I'm just going to minimize it. I'm just going to minimize this and minimize all of this good stuff. In fact, pretend you didn't see this. Now we've got our terminal window and that stuff's uploading in the background. We need to add the database user. So this is where we're going to get proper hacker man for a minute. You'll want to type mysql-u root. I'll try and put all these commands in the description, especially some of the bigger ones. So once you're into MySQL, then we'll need to first create the database. So it's pretty straightforward. You just type create database and then the database name. I'm going to name the database donate in this example, just for example's sake. And I advise you do the same thing to prevent any mistakes. So once you do that, you'll get query OK, row affected, all looking good. Now we'll need a slightly more complicated command, which ignore that. Now we'll need a slightly more complicated command, which I will just paste in here. This one will definitely be in the description, but let me just run through what this actually means. So let me actually just clear this for you guys, because I've made a bit of a mess here. Oh dear. Sorry. Alright. So, once you put in the create database donate command, you'll hit enter. Obviously I'm getting an error now because I've already run that once, but I'm just showing you guys nice and clean why I wanted to do this is so I can actually get this all on one line here. So this new command that you've got to type is grant all privileges on donate dot asterisk to donations at %sign identified by password. Now this is going to look super cryptic, and I'm not going to get super in depth here with MySQL, but I will just break down what this command does so that you guys can actually understand what the heck's going on, and hopefully learn like a little bit of something. So if you're ever using MySQL in the future, it might be a bit easier. So obviously this created the database. Now here what we're doing is we're granting all privileges on the database. So we've got, you know, donate, but we've got a dot asterisk here at the end where we don't have that here. Now what that basically means is all of the data that is within the donate database, grant privileges on that to this new user that we've created called donations at the %sign, which is basically the address that can log in. So this is in this case percentage just means everywhere. You could actually put your server's IP here, and you could run the command again and put localhost, and that way you could IP restrict access to the database. And then the important part is identified by and then our password. So the parts you really want to pay attention to here are this, which is the username, and this, which is the password. Now this is just the username and password that we're going to be using to access the database. So you're definitely going to want to change this password. The username you can leave the same, and it might make it a bit simpler for following the tutorial, but if you're security conscious, you also might want to change the username. And additionally, you also might want to put your server IP here, and then run the command again with localhost. But that actually isn't necessary, and as long as you've got a really secure password, you should be fine. So I'm going to leave it like that because that makes it much simpler, especially if you're new to MySQL. And I'm just going to run this command. So once again, all you would want to change is this bit here, really. That's all you need to change at least. So I've run this command, and just like when I ran the create database command earlier, it said one row. Sorry, actually it didn't say this at all, did it? But query OK. They both said query OK. And this one says 0 rows affected. The other one would have said 1 row affected. You have got one warning here. You can totally ignore that. So this was the most complicated part of it all. This is the part where I imagine most people get confused. Hopefully I made that quite clear. And now you should be able to just quit, which you do by typing quit with a semicolon after it, and you're out of MySQL. You shouldn't need to touch that again now, and we should be good as long as you've got your password written down, and you're good to go. So now we've got our database user, and we've created the database. Let's see how the files are going. Looks like they've all uploaded. Great, that's what we're looking for. So now what we want to do is we want to jump over to this config file that's somewhere in here. Where are you? Cool. So you want to edit this config file. It'll pop open with, you know, your text editor might be like the default Windows one or whatever, but it will still work. So here we need to put the database information. So Prometheus knows how to access the database we just made, right? Now it's really simple here. We just want to put localhost for the host name. For the username, we want to put the username that we put. So if I just reference this command again, the username was this part here. So this is our username. This was our password. And you can see our database name. Oops, sorry. You can see our database name here. So this was our database name. We also created a database with the previous command, which was this one, just so you guys know what's going on here, hopefully. Sorry for the people who might be familiar with this stuff. I am just trying to make this super intuitive. So now we put all this stuff in here. We should be able to click the save button, and this should be good to go. Now we're really close to being ready to jump on over to actually configuring the site. We're actually getting pretty close. So now we just want to check things are working fine. So what I'm going to do is we're going to copy this IP, and I'm just going to drop it into my browser. Now, obviously, if you just go to the IP alone, it's going to say 403 forbidden. Now, that's because we created a folder, remember, called donate here. So we need to put, let me bring this down so you guys can see it, the IP /donate. Or if you changed it to /store. Now, this still isn't working. Okay, so let's think about what we could have missed. File permissions. This is something that most people get wrong. So this is what trips up 99% of people when they're doing this, and it's luckily a really easy fix. So we need to just pop back open to our SSH window, and let me zoom in so this is easy for you guys to follow again. Now we'll want to just head on over to the folder where we've got this donate folder right here, right? So I'm just going to copy this, type cd, which is how you get to a directory, and then paste this. So we're going to get to the folder with this donate folder, and you can type ls, and it will list the files and folders inside the folder you're in. So we can see our donate folder here. Now what's probably gone wrong is the permissions. So what we're going to do is we're going to run this pretty long command that I'm going to leave in the description. Now this, for my example, will only work if you've got the folder named donate. But as you can see in this command, you've got donate/install, donate/cert, donate/IPN errors, donate/update. So if you've changed the folder name, just change donate out, and once you run that, now we should get some luck. If we click refresh here, look at that, nicely loaded up. We're getting real close now. So what we want to do is we want to just have a little look what we need for the configuration. So firstly, we need the API key, and then we need our site title. So this doesn't actually matter. I'm going to name this Trident, and then your license key, we'll show you how to get in a second. Actually, scrap that. We're not even doing this, remember, because at the moment we've got an ugly IP here, and we don't want people to have to remember this if they want to donate. We want them to be able to just type your site name. So if you haven't already got a domain, this is where you want to jump on over to Prometheus. Namecheap. So once you're in Namecheap, or any domain registrar of your choice, search for whatever domain you want. So say you want mycommunity.com, which is definitely sold already, but YOLO. We can come down here, look and see. We can get mycommunity.live for nearly $2. Bunch of cool stuff. So buy your domain. Now for this example, I'm going to be using crident.network. To find your domains, you can just hold your mouse over the account thing and then go to the domain list. Unfortunately, I can't show you that on my account for privacy reasons, but once you're in the domain list, you'll be able to just click on your domain and you'll see this page right here. So we need to change a few things. We want to set this domain up with Cloudflare, and that protects our website from a lot of things like DDoS, and also makes SSL a bit easier to set up. So we're not going to go into SSL too much on this video, but we'll at least get it basically set up. So first what we want to do is we'll want to jump over to Cloudflare once we've bought our domain, and you'll want to click on the add site button. Let me actually just go to the dashboard. So once you've logged into Cloudflare, it will look a little bit like this. You probably won't see this site here. You might even get taken straight to this page. Now this is where you can type your domain. So let me type crident.network in here, and Cloudflare will do a bunch of things. It will scan the domain. This takes realistically probably the longest part, but you're not doing anything. So give it a couple minutes. Just the free plan right here. Confirm. You don't have to enter any details or anything like that, so you should be cool. So once that is all set up, you're going to want to get rid of all this junk right here that's normally set up by your domain registrar. Just X all of this out. We don't want any of this. Now what we do want is we want to add two things. We want to add two a-host records, right? So we want to add www. Now we want to jump over and grab the IP to our VPS. Let me zoom in a little bit. This might make it a bit clearer for you guys. So you want www, drop the IP from your VPS in here, make sure this cloud is orange, and then click add record. And then you'll want to do the same thing for your actual domain name. So in this case, it's crident.network, and you want to just click the exact same button. So what this will do is basically it will set up www.crident.network and crident.network. So if people go to either one of those, they'll be able to access your site. So once we've done that, we can hit this continue button, and Cloudflare will tell us we need to change our name servers. Now this is pretty straightforward. So what we want to do is we want to come down to Namecheap, and we want to drop this down to, say, custom DNS right here. Now every domain registrar will have these options, it's just where they put them. So let me just move this over to the side. Let's grab these name servers and let's just drop them in here. And then let's click this save button. Now after a few seconds you should get an all clear saying it's saved and everything. Look at that. And it may take up to 48 hours to take effect. This depends on your DNS resolution settings. Pro tip, just don't go to your website until you've got it set up, and it should be fine. I will show how to move on to the Cloudflare DNS resolvers in a second at the end of the video. So if you're having some sort of issue accessing your site, skip to the end of the video, and there's a troubleshooting thing I'll add in that will hopefully fix that for some of you guys. So, to just kind of like clarify what we've done so far, we've set up our VPS pretty much, and now we're just setting up our domain. So we're setting up our domain with Cloudflare, and then once we've done that, we're ready to start configuring Prometheus. So we're really close to finishing this off now. It's a little bit interconnected, so we're going to be doing a little bit of jumping back and forward, but we're really close to being finished, so just try and follow along and you should be good now. So once we've set our DNS servers, we don't need this anymore, so I'm just going to get rid of this, and I'm going to jump on over to Cloudflare and click continue. Now Cloudflare will basically say that it's just completing its stuff, and I'd advise clicking this recheck button that you have down here. You guys didn't see that, I clicked it too quick, but yeah. And then once you've set up Cloudflare, now we need to jump back into SSH for, I think, the final thing, and that is actually adding our domain name to it. So you're going to want to type nano, which is like the file editor for PuTTY, and then you'll want to edit this file right here. You can pause the video if you need to type that out. I'll try and put this in the description as well. Hit enter, and right here on the third line you'll have server name, localhost. Now you just want to change this to say your domain. So you want to have your actual domain on its own, and then your domain with the www. So now you've got that set up, you want to type service nginx reload, and you shouldn't get any errors from that. Now we should be able to go to crident.network, and we should be able to see this exact same Prometheus install screen that we have from just being on the IP here. So let me go to crident.network/donate. Now it's possible my DNS hasn't updated yet. I might have it cached because I was just testing this out. So if it times out for me, I'm just going to pop open a Tor browser over here. And hopefully this will work. Okay, Cloudflare might still be setting up. So let's just check over at Cloudflare. Okay, so Cloudflare is still doing their final stuff, so that might be what's going on here. So that's fine though, because what we can move on to now is the license key. So obviously we don't want to complete the setup with the IP here, but we want to get ready. So let's jump over to get the license key, which it tells you to go to this site for. This is really straightforward. You just go to this site, it will log you into Steam. It's really slow, so I'm going to kind of skip through some of it. You go to the dashboard, you click get my Prometheus key, and it will give you a key like this. And yeah, that's pretty straightforward, isn't it? Once you've got this key, you'll be able to come in here, drop it in here, and you'll only set the site title at that point and your PayPal email. As you can see here, we've got the IP address a couple of times. Let me just zoom on in. This is why we don't want to install it right now, because we're not on the actual domain. We're still on the IP address. So I might pause this video for a few minutes until Cloudflare finishes setting up. Alright guys, so it looks like we've got some great news. Cloudflare has finished setting up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and type cryden.network and see if it loads up. Now this is weird. I'm getting the exact same error. Now this is entering the final part of the video that I mentioned earlier when I mentioned that I might have a troubleshooting tip. So DNS, which is the stuff that you've been setting up in Cloudflare, this stuff, is a little bit confusing how it works. I'm not going to go into details on it, but what I am going to say is basically it translates something like this cryden.network into this IP that we've put here. Now there are some caveats, like because for example we're using Cloudflare, it's kind of proxying this IP. It's basically hiding it, but you know, still, why are we getting this error? Now the reason you'll probably be getting this error along with something like zero-sided reply is because your DNS hasn't updated yet. Now there's a few things you can do to tackle this, and the most simple thing is if it's just a browser level cache. Yep, that's right, browsers do cache DNS stuff. So if, for example, using Brave right here, I just come along, let me minimize some of this stuff out of the way. If using Brave, I come along and I hit this button right here. You guys have probably seen it a few times. I'm sure you're all very familiar with the trusty incognito window. I'm going to pop open an incognito window and I'm going to see if it loads on the incognito window. Let's try this. cryden.network/donate. Oh, that's weird. It's working here in my incognito window, but it is not working here. Oh, it is now. Damn. Well, it wasn't working here in my main window. Now that was due to browser level DNS caching. So opening an incognito window, waiting a few minutes like you saw here, will fix it. Or what you can do is you can just close your browser down entirely and relaunch it, and that should definitely fix any issues there. If, however, you're still getting this zero-sided reply issue and you think it might be due to DNS, there's one final thing you can do, and that is by changing your DNS to a much faster DNS service, like, for example, maybe Cloudflare. So let's take a look at how we do that. So the first thing you want to do is you want to go and open up the Windows tray thing, and you want to open the control panel. I'm sure you're all very familiar with the control panel. So once we're in the Windows control panel, we want to click over to Network and Internet and the Network Sharing Center. Now, hit you might have a Wi-Fi thing here, but just hit that. Then you'll want to hit this Properties button, and then you'll see, if you scroll down a little bit, Internet Protocol version 4. You want to double click that. Now yours will look a bit like this when it first opens up, and you just want to click use the following DNS servers and put 1.1.1.1, oh my god, sorry guys, I'm having a real hard time, 1.0.1.1. I didn't even say that right, but you guys can see what I typed. So once you put those digits in there, just click OK, click close, close this out, and then once again open a new incognito window, try it out, and you should be good to go. So if you're getting any other types of errors, make sure that make sure that you've kind of gone through this video and point out some places that people frequently are likely to make mistakes. So when we edited this file right here, and we put the server name in, this is somewhere that a lot of people will often make mistakes. You've got to have this semicolon on the end right here. Another thing that people will often do is they will not set up the Cloudflare correctly. So make sure that you've got your domain here. So you can see I've got my domain name up here, and you've got the exact same thing down here. Make sure you've got that, and make sure you've got the www one added at the same time. And if you're still having issues, then feel free to comment on the video, and we'll see if we can help you. If you're getting something that looks like it says error 500, then you saw I got one of them earlier. It has like the blue little reload button. Then that's probably something due to the permissions. So you can fix that hopefully by coming to this folder right here. Let me zoom in for you guys. By coming to this /user/share/nginx/html folder and running this really long command I mentioned earlier to set the file permissions. Rerun that and just make sure all the file permissions are right. If you come over to WinSCP, you might need to right click and show the column for owner here, but you should see www-data is the owner. You might need to press F5 to refresh it. Like in here, it says these are all root. If I hit F5 and refresh it, because this is from when that was from when I uploaded it, and it was all owned by root. Since we ran this command earlier, this command right here, these files are all now owned by www-data. If there's anything that isn't owned by www-data, then something's not right. And like I said, try running that command and making sure that you can fix the permissions. But if you're still having trouble, then feel free to drop a comment. So the next video will be on really how to set it up in game. But just for anyone who might still be confused, I am just gonna drop in the license key into this Prometheus install, set the name to Crident, and you'll want to put your PayPal email here. So I'm going to put admin@crident.com. This will need to be a business PayPal. Hit submit, and it said that my API key isn't valid, probably because I think I've already used it or something. Like, let me try resetting it. Yep. Now that I think this is a potential bug in Prometheus. I'm not too sure, but when it works and it installs, I get this 404 not found page. You just need to get rid of install.php here, and then go to the home page. And then once you're on the home page, then you just need to sign in with Steam, just like you did when you went to the Prometheus IPN site. And once you are here, you will be able to go to the admin panel, and you'll be able to do all of the stuff that you need to do, including setting up PayPal if you haven't already done that, and all of the good stuff that you might want to do. Like I said, the next video will be focusing on how to then set up the server side of things. This is just focusing on the web side of things. Additionally, we're going to have another follow-up video on how to install a forum software, because we've got a full web server here. We've got our donation system in this donate folder over at cridentnetwork.donate. But what we really want to do as well is we want to have, crident.network/forum as well, right? So this leaves us room to do that, because we can now create a forum folder and install our forum software in here. And all sorts of things. You could also have a home page and all sorts of good stuff. So this is a pretty rudimentary video on how to set it up. You'll probably want to do some final adjustments, like setting up SSL, which if you're not familiar with SSL, you'll want to check up some videos on that. We're not going to go in detail on SSL. We might in the future put a video up on that. But for now, what I would advise people do is they come over, I believe it's this crypto tab, and click on this always use HTTPS box. That will encrypt the connection between your end user and Cloudflare, but the connection between Cloudflare and your web server will not be encrypted. So that means it is technically vulnerable at that point, and you'll want to set up full SSL for that. But that is a little bit more complicated, and we'll probably make a dedicated video to that at a later date. But for now, this is just the basic installing Prometheus video. So once you've got it installed, now all you need to do is set it up in game, and you guys can probably figure it out from there. So thanks for watching this video. Check out Crident Networks if you're looking for a Gmod host, and other than that, have a nice day.